In the previous lecture, I have discussed about position vector, where with the help of a vector we can express the position or location of a point in space, that means in a three-dimensional frame. To start the journey from O to reach P, we need to travel a distance of x along x-axis, a distance of small y along y-axis, and an upward displacement of small z along z-axis. All axes are taken here as positive. You may travel in the negative directions of each of them or of all. So the coordinates of P is x, y, z, and this location can be expressed as this. If the resultant vector is A, and from that discussions we have come to know that the magnitude of that position vector is the diagonals formula, is the formula of diagonal of that cuboid, which is under root length square plus breadth square plus height square. Applying this idea, the first numerical problem is like this. Two vectors are given, A vector which is equal to 4i cap plus 3j cap, and B vector is equal to 3i cap plus 4j cap. Now we have to find out magnitude of A. Since the magnitude is to be find out, we are not using the arrow sign, only A, and that is equal to, by using this formula here, only there is x, there are x and y, no z. So x squared plus y squared, so 5 units. Number 2 is magnitude of B. Similarly, 9 plus 16, 5 units. Number 3, magnitude of A plus B. Now, to find out the magnitude, we have to first calculate the whole vector. And you have to simply add the two vectors given. A plus B, that means you have to add the similar quantities, I with I, j with j, that means 7i plus 7j. So its magnitude is equal to under root 7 squared plus 7 squared, that means 7 root 2 units. And the last part is A minus B. You have to first calculate the A minus B vector. So this minus this, that is only I cap, and this minus this minus j cap. So its magnitude is This is 1 and this is minus 1. So 1 square plus minus 1 square, that is also 1. So root 2 units. Now to solve the next problem, I am recapitulating a fact which I have discussed before, that when there are a number of vectors act simultaneously from a certain point, and if you are asked to find out their resultant vector, then what we have done? First, open all the forces or vectors and place them along the side of a polygon taken in the same order. If this is A vector, B vector, C vector, D vector, then first open all the vectors, and then individually each one of them is to be placed along the consecutive sides of a polygon which are taken in same order. Then according to polygon law, the closing side taken in the opposite order will be their resultant vector, will represent their resultant vectors magnitude and direction. So R vector is equal to sum of the four. And in this discussion, I have pointed out one fact, that this idea is completely theoretical and it has a practical approach. When you are given this kind of problems, then to find out the magnitude and direction of the resultant vector, you have to apply not this idea but the idea of resolution of vector. What was that? Suppose there is a vector R, and sometimes in practical daily life we see that this kind of vector breaks itself into two components, two parts. They may be mutually perpendicular or not. So amra mutually perpendicular and mutually non-perpendicular দুটো কেসই দেখেছিলাম। তার মধ্যে মিউচুয়ালি পারপেন্ডিকুলার যে কেসটা দেখা গিয়েছিল, এটা যদি p ভেক্টর হয়, এটা যদি q ভেক্টর হয়, and if the p vector is at an angle of theta with r, r breaks into p and q. Suppose when a person walks this way, then it is his rear foot and it is his front foot. So naturally he applies the force this way by his rear foot on the ground. Immediately the ground applies a reaction force on the body exactly like this, and immediately this reaction force breaks itself into two components. If this angle is theta, we have seen that the horizontal component means the component which is in contact to this angle always is cosine, and the away component is always sine. So P is equal to R cosine of theta and Q is equal to R sine of theta. This idea is to be applied to solve the problems related to find out the resultant of a number of vectors acting simultaneously. Now coming to the problem, it is said that there is a figure. This is positive x-axis, this is negative x-axis, this is negative y-axis, and this is positive y-axis. There is a force of vector OA of magnitude 2 meter acting at an angle of 30 degree with positive x-axis, and there is another vector this way, which is BC. It acts at an angle of 60 degree. Its magnitude is 1.5 meter. There is another vector DE whose magnitude is 1.0 meter, acts at an angle of 90 degree. And the question is, find out the resultant. Refer to the figure. Find the magnitude, number 1, x and y components, number 2, and the angle with x-axis, number 3, of the resultant of OA, BC and D. Now to solve this problem, when we see that there are a number of vectors acting simultaneously, then first we open them and then we place along the sides of a polygon and then the closing side. But this idea is not to be applied here. I have, as previously said, that for solving this kind of problem, you have to take the idea of vector resolution. So first you have to make all these vectors co-initial vector. That means each of them act from different points, but you have to replace them at one point. So first you have to draw the axis. Then this is O and this is OA. This is that 1.5 meter. This is 2 meter. And this is 1.0 meter. Now remember that thing. This is R, this is theta, this is R cos, this is R sine. So this angle is theta. So you have to calculate the angle of the vector which is to be resolved, যাকে ভাঙতে হবে, with the positive x-axis always. So in this case the angle is already given as 30 degree. In this case this angle is 60 degree. This angle is 60 degree. So you have to calculate from here. If it is 60, the rest is 120. This is 60, this is 180, so rest is 120. And this is 90, so from here this whole angle is 270 degree. So all angles are calculated from the positive x-axis. You have to start from positive x-axis to calculate all the angles. Then you already have known the value of theta for each and every vector given. In this case the theta 30, theta 120, theta 270. Now you have to resolve the vectors into perpendicular components. As you know that the component which is adjacent to theta is cos, and the away component theta সঙ্গে যেটা কন্ট্যাক্টে নেই, that component is sine. So if you name them as P vector, Q vector and R vector, or A vector, B vector, C vector, it is better. So A makes an angle of 30 with x-axis. So what is the component of along x-axis of A? R cos theta. That means 2 cos theta is 30 degree. AY 2 sin 30. B, the angle is 120. So Bx is equal to 1.5 cos 120. By is equal to 1.5 sin 120. Its value is cos 30 root 3 by 2. 2 is cancelled out, so root 3. Here 1. Here cos 120. That means 180 minus 60. 180 minus 60 means minus cos 60. That means minus half. That means minus 0.75. And sin 120 is sin 180 minus 60. That is sin 60 means root 3 by 2. That means 0.75 into root 3. And Cx is what? C, this one, the angle is 270. That means 1 into cos 270, and Cy is equal to 1 into sin 270. Now cos 270 is equal to 360 minus 90. So 360 minus 90, that means in fourth quadrant. In fourth quadrant, this is cos 90. Cos 90 means 0. And sine 270, that is sine 360 minus 90, that means sine 90 minus sine 90, minus 1, minus sine 90, that is 1. After breaking all those vectors into x axis and y axis, you get all the components along only positive x axis and positive y axis. All components are along positive x and positive y. Along positive y there are 3, along positive x there are 3. So if you add these 3 and these 3, you will get 1 and you will get 1. So that component can be called as Rx. Rx is equal to this plus that. So root 3 plus actually minus 0.75 plus 0, or y is equal to 1 plus root 3 into 0.75 plus 1. So this becomes this and this becomes this. Now you have two components, one along x-axis, one along y-axis. Now remember the third option of vector addition. আমরা ভেক্টর এডিশন যখন করেছিলাম তখন রেজাল্ট্যান্ট কি লিখেছিলাম, r is equal to x square plus y square p square plus q square plus 2pq cos alpha under root. সেখানে তিনটে অপশন ছিল. The first option was when the alpha is 0 degree, second is 180 degree, and third was 90 degree. When alpha is 90 degree, this turns to 0. So the resultant becomes under root p square plus q square. So in this case, we have to make the resultant when these two components are like this. So you have to just follow the third option. So r is equal to under root rx square plus ry square. That means this square you can break it into this square plus this square plus under root. So what will be the result? 3 plus 6 into 0.75 plus 0.75 square plus, oh sorry, this is minus, plus 4 plus 2 into root 3 into 1.5. That means 1.5 into root 3. And this one is 4 plus 4 means 3 root 3 4, okay, plus 3 into 0.75 square. So this one is 7 and plus 1.5 into root 3 plus 4 into 0.75 square under root. Now you have to use calculator and calculate all those things to get the answer.